It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Wednesday, September the 27th. Good morning. That was the Scorpions. No one like you. A lesson to be learned from our German friends, the Scorpions.
Yeah.
Okay, No One Like You broke through the U.S., broke North American radio, put the band on the map in 1982.
Mm-hmm.
After they had been playing as the Scorpions for 17 years. That band was formed in 1965.
Wow.
They have been playing since 1965. Help was in the record stores when the Scorpions formed as Scorpions in Hanover, Germany. And for 17 years, they kept their shoulder to the plow and finally broke through. God bless them.
Yeah, there's a lesson for the kids out there. Now, listen, was that the album with the forks in the eyes?
I don't know.
I think it was. I remember being at the state basketball tournament. And, of course, we were in a city, not a small town, so we got to go to the record store.
Yeah.
We were shopping for cassettes back in 1982, and I think that was the one with the fork in the eyes.
You know what it was? Blackout. That's right.
All right.
That's
yes.
right.
I saw that cover, and I was like, I got to have that.
That's 17 years, and all they needed was a guy in a white skull cap and forks in his eyes, and they would have had the American audience cornered, locked down.
I mean, I was 16 years old. That's how you bought albums. This one looks cool.
I went to high school with a guy named Joe Chestnut, and he had the largest album collection I'd ever seen, and most of them unopened. He just bought them for the covers.
Oh,
smart. I hope he kept it that way.
I don't know. He was kind of kooky, but he had his parents' credit card, and he had an enormous collection of albums, and I'd just stare at them like, oh my God. And to his credit, the album covers were amazing. No idea what any of it sounded like.
I did a story. I read a story a couple of years ago about the 40-year-old virgin syndrome, where you buy all these toys and you never open them, so that they keep their value.
Yeah.
They're collector's items. They're worth a lot of money someday, except they never sell them. That's the sad part. Do they cash out at 40 or 50 and for millions of dollars for having this foresight and that discipline to do something like that?
They can't part with it.
No, they can't. They're like hoarders. They just can't part with it.
I know from my personal experience with things like, hot tech tips. If I were at any one point to look at a new lineup of toys throughout my life and think, this is the one I'm going to keep sealed, I would have made all the wrong choices. I would have been like, I guarantee you this Uno deck is going to be worth a fortune. It'll be rare and no one will remember it, and it'll elicit such warm memories or not.
Right.
They weren't wrapped, but my grandma Virginia had an amazing Beanie Baby collection.
Now see,
it's like
those didn't have to be wrapped, I don't think.
No. Where are
they
they
didn't
now?
come wrapped.
I know, that's what I said. That's what I said.
They're gone now?
No, they're gone. Yeah, my mom got rid of them all. So who knows? But she probably got some cash out of that. I have like the classics, the classic bears, like the Princess Diana bear, and like the Ghost.
What was your favorite?
The Ghost.
The Ghost.
And the flamingo is cute too.
The one thing I had that would be worth a ton of money right now, not a toy, not a gift, but my own Little League baseball glove. And why was it worth so much money? Because on the day after we lost the greatest third baseman ever, I'll share the story. It had not one and not two, but three Brooks Robinson signatures on it.
Oh my God! How did you get three?
Man.
Because we used to go to Baltimore Orioles games at Memorial Stadium. The players' parking lot was just like the first 18 spaces outside a certain door. It wasn't cordoned off, not sectioned off. You just walked there and waited after the game. And three different occasions. I had Boog Powell, Al Bunbury, Jim Palmer. I had all of the early 70s Orioles on my baseball glove.
And where's the glove?
Some recipient at a Goodwill or an AmVets in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, when I went to college, received that along with some of my bowling trophies, if memory serves.
Mama.
Well, it was just, it was just we had moved, my senior year, we moved houses, and a bunch of stuff that was, had been like on a shelf or on my dresser. It went into boxes, a much smaller house. Next thing you know, there's some stuff in the attic waiting to be unpacked. It never did. I'm off to college, and then all of a sudden we got to, get rid of all this junk. And there was a few things that were, let's just say they went missing.
How about sentimental, though? That's the Little League myth. Come on,
Ryan.
Still
we don't
have
have time
mine.
for that. Hey, speaking of gifts and things that we look back on and wish we had, there's a gift from researchers at the University of Florida. I'd like everybody to take a deep breath and check this one out. They have created a new compound that can help us all lose weight by mimicking exercise. No sweat, no effort involved. When this compound was tested on, wait for it, overweight mice, the mice lost weight. It tricks muscles into thinking they had exercised more than they did, which in turn boosts metabolism and helps them to lose weight. But that's not all. This new drug was able to boost endurance in the mice, enabling them to run 50% more than they were capable of before, all without any physical activity. Now, this is also known as methamphetamine, from what my
That's
research
what I was
tells
thinking,
me.
too.
Right? I mean, does it do all the... Yeah, are you going to be picking at imaginary sores on your skin, too?
It's just a matter of time.
This couldn't have come at a better time in my life because I realize now, just past my mid-50s, 57 and a half here right now,
Yep.
just this past week, I've realized not only do I really not want to work out anymore, I really can't work out anymore. I mean, I do this hobble run thing where I can get on the bike for a while, but it's just 8 push-ups or something like that in the living room instead of 80. It's really, I've sort of moved beyond. I'm looking for the pill.
Yeah, the whole thing I've had going, which has been hilarious here in the Twin Cities, is the whole I'm getting back in, and I do a lot of walking. I love to walk around downtown and all across the bridges and all that. And it's this thing in the back of my head, I'm building up to running again, which is just the funniest thing. I've never lied to myself more effectively than for the last 6 months. Every time I'm out hoofing it around a nice little 4-mile path, and I'm like, all right, I'm just about ready to start kicking it up. And then right as I think now, just run for a minute at a time. Just do 60 seconds. Yeah. That's usually when I stop and then change podcasts.
You know what I do?
Or different playlists. What?
Occasionally you'll get up to the street, and I'll jog across the street and be a good pedestrian and let people get along with their lives. And as I jog across the street, I'm like, well, that's not so bad. Let's keep the jog going. And that usually lasts for about, 20 seconds. I'm like, all right. My side's hurting.
I have a heavy bag at home, and I've found that just one good punch will suffice and be on my way.
You just go straight to the wrecking ball right.
I'm walking by.
You kind of shift the hips a little bit, squat down, and then from the ankles to the chin all the way up, one uppercut.
That's more of a mental thing than a physical workout. It's just like throwing that brick at the TV kind of thing.
I tell you what, University of Florida, I appreciate the effort. I'm glad these mice are losing weight with a pill. When you can come up with a way for me to eat nothing but Mexican and Indian food and lose weight, give me a call.
All right.
That's the plan I'm looking for.
Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to work for me. By the way, real quick, we got a lot going on today. Frank Caliendo's in studio at 7:30. Okay, we've got another guest named Peter Reese, who's he's got a series, serial killer, true crime TV producer, director guy coming on. It's kind of fascinating. At 7 o'clock, a little earlier than normal, we're going to give away some Peter Gabriel tickets. We got a lot. There's a lot cooking here today.
Yeah, and are adults buying emotional support dolls after watching Barbie? Mike Evans, Hollywood Report at 6:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, September the 27th. Great day in the morning. It's dark out. It's fall. Oh, wait. Are we setting the clocks back? We didn't get rid of that yet, did we?
Not yet. No.
I was really, because when we set them forward in the spring, there was chatter.
Yeah.
We were all chirping about maybe this is the year that the Senate and the House agree to just get rid of that. I guess that didn't happen.
When you said Senate and the House agree, that's where I just about burst into boisterous laughter.
Well, hope springs eternal. You know what I mean? Stranger things, I assume, have happened.
Yeah.
It just dawned on me because I was coming in this morning. It's pitch black, and I was just already looking back to those halcyon days of June when the sun was up early. And it's already getting darker earlier. It's staying darker later. And then I realized, oh, my God, we're going to set the clocks back in like a month and a half, too.
Siri tells me that's happening on November 5th.
Oh, thanks for nothing, Siri.
Siri sucks.
Siri sucks.
I
Who
wish.
doesn't suck? Mike Evans. He's here with the Hollywood Report. Mike, we're back in business, baby. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Yeah. I got to go to the doctor today. I had some cancer skin surgery. Not serious. It was just a basal, but they kept finding it, so they keep digging, and it got a big scar on my arm, but. Hopefully the stitches will come out today and everything's fine. I'm good.
All the best to you, brother.
Yeah, I'm good. This report is brought to you by our good friends at Marcus Theaters. They are simply the best. I like Oakdale. I like Southbridge. I like Rosemont. I like them all. But don't forget, $6 special on Tuesday, and they have fabulous eating. Try dinner or lunch. You can have lunch, too, at the Take 5 Lounge. It's the best.
Very nice.
Okay, TV news. So coming to Max, Naked Attraction. Mm-hmm. A real dating game show where the contestants end up full frontal naked.
Mike, listen, I took a peek. They don't end up naked. They hit the ground running naked.
Yeah. Well, the contestants, though, who are asking the questions, they only see their face first, then their chest, then their feet, then their legs, and finally a shot at the genitals. Yeah,
it's not for the weak at heart. I can tell you that.
I can guarantee I'm not going to be on it. Save the planet. Tonight, TV news, different lineups, season debuts, debate. Starting with CBS, will present their season premiere of Survivor and Amazing Race. Both are 90-minute episodes all season long. On ABC, they have Celebrity Jeopardy and Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. I like Jeopardy. I've always loved that show.
Great show. Love it.
Yeah. Over on NBC, the very finals of America's Got Talent.
Oh, great.
And on Fox Business, from the Ronald Reagan Library, a Republican presidential debate. So a lot to choose from today, tonight on television.
I'm going to probably put on a record.
Are you really?
I'll just listen to some music tonight.
I don't know what I'll do. Well, you know me, I got to watch it. I got to tape everything and then watch them.
That's you.
I know. CBS bunched up episodes of Yellowstone in prime time, and it failed.
Really?
Ratings flopped. Well, you know, I think everybody's seen the first few episodes of Yellowstone 3 or 4 times.
I was going to say, I think it's an odd thing to think that there's a whole new audience for Yellowstone. It's gotten the most hype. It's the most popular show streaming. I don't know that there's all these people that want to see it that haven't figured out how to already see it, and maybe that's exactly what happened.
No, you're exactly right. Exactly right. Hottest TV interview being sought, Travis Kelce's mom. I want to ask her what was going on in that. I got some phone calls I have put out for today, and tomorrow we're going to take a little deeper look at this Travis and Taylor affair. You'll want to hear that.
The Woodward and Bernstein angle. I like it.
Exactly, I am. Final TV nugget. Remember Squid Game?
Of course.
That crazy South Korean show is #1 for a season. Well, get ready. There's going to be a Squid Game spin show coming to Netflix. Odds and ends. So look, you've probably seen it. My 2 cents. Britney Spears' social media post Sunday again posted nearly naked pictures of herself dancing all goofy, looking goofy. Yesterday posted herself with swinging machetes like knives, acting all violent.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I'm going to say it again. Something's seriously wrong with Britney Spears.
Well, I don't think you're going to get any argument there. She was basically the result of some ill-advised laboratory experiments. Let's take this child and put every possible hurdle in front of her, and let's develop some talent and leave the rest to fame. I guess it's a bad scene. You know what, Steve? I worry that something it's not going to end well. Yeah.
That's what I worried. Bruce Willis is losing his battle with dementia, and his daughter Scout is going overboard, praising her stepmother, Emma Hemming, Bruce's wife, saying that Emma takes care of Bruce 24/7. She never leaves his side. And here's some good news. I'm hearing that Bruce is not suffering and is generally pretty happy. So that's wonderful news.
That is good to hear.
2 quick celebrity lists. 3 celebrities who were once loved and now hated in order. Number 3, Kevin Spacey.
Okay.
Number 2, Bill Cosby.
Sure.
And number 1, want to guess?
No. Go for it.
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, it's all the raping and the murdering. It's all that raping and murdering that takes the shine right off of a certain celebrity star.
Otherwise, what's not to love?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And this list, I always love this list. Very odd. 5 celebrities who have the oddest pets. What kind of pet do you have?
I got a dog. I got a cat.
What's the dog's name?
Chauncey.
What's he do? What kind of pet dog is he?
He's a mixed breed. You tell me what he is. He's a gorgeous hunk of man is what he is.
Rescue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good for you. Vanilla Ice has a kangaroo.
Okay.
Steven Tyler, a raccoon.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Reese Witherspoon has a farm, and on the farm she has miniature donkeys.
Okay, that checks out.
Tori Spelling has a chicken that she often carries around with her. She loves chickens. And Nick Cage has poisonous snakes and an octopus.
Obviously.
And I have a nearly deaf, nearly blind old dog named Bogey, who I love dearly.
Bogey.
Had him 15 years, rescued him. Yeah.
Wow. That's a good long run.
He's used all the runways, no doubt about it. Everything good in Minneapolis, St. Paul today?
As far as we know, it's a banner day around here.
Well,
no issues so far.
If they're listening to you, it's a good day.
Listen to him.
Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. See you.
See you, brother.
So Naked Attraction, they lead with the genitals.
They lead with the genitals.
Yeah,
they
that's
literally.
first thing out. There it is. Bloom right there.
We talked about it the other day, and then, of course, I immediately was like, well, let me take a look at this. And boy, did I get more than I was bargaining for.
It's, I'm not going to say they made nudity boring, but I was watching the first episode there, so it's all guys. Boom, there we come. The wieners are out.
Yeah.
She's taking a good long look. You get to walk right up to them, ask some questions. Then I found myself fast-forwarding. I'm like, all right, let's get to the next.
But see, that's I think the whole point is you just get it out of the way. Address the elephant in the room. And then move on with it. And speaking of which, did you notice the gentleman who has his front office perfectly groomed, shaved, and on the front office, on the firewall, as I call it, a tattoo of elephant ears.
Yeah.
Therefore, his penis looks like the elephant trunk.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, pretty strong.
Brilliant.
Pretty strong. I mean, you're coming out of the gate like, you're on the first lap of the relay, you're burning up all your jet fuel right there.
Yeah,
Dare to be different.
I have a fish hook that just kind of goes around mine like a little worm on the hook.
That's how that works.
Kind of a nice touch.
That is a nice touch. As long as we're here, hey, why don't we look back? Let's if you're not learning, you're not living. So let's have a history lesson. Okay, it is September 27th. On this day in 1996, Barry Bonds of the San Francisco Giants, pre-steroid Barry, skinny Barry, became only the second baseball player to get a 40-40 season. He already had 40 home runs, and on this day in Denver, Colorado, he got his 40th stolen base. And I, along with the rest of that stadium, applauded because I was at that game. The Black Crowes were on tour. We were supposed to be in Salt Lake City that night. A gig was canceled for reasons I don't remember. Took the day off in Denver, checked out a baseball game, and saw Barry Bonds get his 40th steal. And then, dear listener, the band and crew all went to a strip club. And it was at that strip club that night that I had a moment I'll never forget, which is a young lady came over, and she was very attractive, and she was dancing, and she looked over, and she was like, "Are you guys in a band?" And I said, "We sure are." And she said, "What's the band?" And I said, "The Black Crowes." And she said, "My mom loves you guys."
Oh, yeah. Pow. That cuts into her tip.
Good night. and of course, I was thinking, like, we're only on our fourth record. I mean, come on. But that's such is life. It comes at you pretty quick.
Maybe
you know
Mom was on stage next.
She probably could have been. On this day in 1998, in a Sunday night football game between the Bengals and the Ravens, ESPN debuted for the first time the first down line, the yellow line that told viewers where the first down was. And unlike most technological advancements, I'm always come on, that's ridiculous. I said, that is awesome. Thank you for that.
Right out of the gate, I immediately, because I'm a bit like you, and said, we don't need, I know where the football, that's great.
Yeah.
On the very next down.
It's funny.
Like, that's awesome.
Funny. Of all the things they try, the same company that developed it, they're called Sport Vision. They had done the thing with the glowing hockey puck too, with the streamer. Because people said I can't see the puck, and then you had a blue flame puck shooting across the ice, and everybody was like, "No, I'd rather be confused than watch that."
Right.
But this one certainly did work. It's funny because, like you said, I'm always like, "No, that's terrible," but this one, a universal acclaim. Right out of the gate on that one.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, September the 27th. Good morning. That was Hard to Handle by the Black Crowes. That song was recorded 34 years ago in the summer of 1989. Wow. Great Scott. Whoo, baby. At the time that song was recorded, I remember saying out loud, nobody wants to hear a rock band do Otis Redding. I mean, we think it's cool, but we're dorks.
You were right.
I was right, and then I was wrong. It was a good thing. Good decision. Hey, what are you going to do? I'll tell you what we're going to do right now is we're going to have some fun the way we like to do it. We like to give away tickets to things. We're givers, okay? Sue us. Well, actually, don't sue us. I've been through that. It's awful. But we've got tickets to see Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel is going to be at the XL Energy Center next week, Tuesday, October 3rd. I plan to be there. I've never seen Peter Gabriel. I've heard from several people on this tour who have seen shows. It is absolutely spectacular, so I'm very excited. And I would imagine a couple of listeners who are now sitting on hold are very excited for an opportunity to win tickets as well. Today, Tony, we are going to play a game called...
Well, yay for that. Yesterday was kind of unexpectedly challenging. I think so. Today we're going to have a palate cleanser, a delightfully lightweight venture, hopefully. It's this.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
Autocorrect.
What on earth?
I know.
Was that the whole game show?
Yeah, it's done. Thanks for playing. We love our vehicles.
We do?
You know that. We're going to find out how well you know them.
Oh, boy.
We'll give you a car model, contemporary from the past, sedan or SUV, and you tell us the brand, who makes them. The most correct guesses wins.
Wow.
Hello, Motorheads.
Wow.
And this sounded easier to you.
Yeah, exactly. Autocorrect.
All right.
This reminds me of as a kid, I'd sit around my dad and my Uncle Larry. Like any car would go by, they'd be like, is that a 61? No, it's a 62, because remember the tail. And I'd be like, how the hell do you know the difference from a 61 and a 62 Ford whatever? Now, the Galaxy 500 and 67, they introduced a brand. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? Can we go to 7-Eleven for a Slurpee or not? But let's do it. Let's play autocorrect. Candace, who is caller number one?
Karen from Crystal.
Karen, good morning.
Morning.
Are you a Peter Gabriel fan?
I am.
Great. Are you knowledgeable about automobiles?
No.
Atta girl.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Self-awareness is the key to any successful pursuit in life. So you know your strengths and your weaknesses. I think we're going to have fun either way. Good luck to you, Karen.
Okay.
Tony, take it away.
It's just good guessing, Karen. Okay, number one, Corolla. What kind of car is that?
Toyota.
Bam.
See? It's easy.
I just went from Tennessee to California in a Corolla this summer.
Oh, yeah.
True story.
Number two, Explorer.
Ford.
Now, see,
Yep.
we're getting along great here, Karen. Well done.
Number three, Durango.
Oh, boy. Chevy.
Oopsie. Nope, it's a Dodge.
Dodge.
Big
Dodge. The marketing
SUV.
department just got an email.
Number 4 of 10, Telluride.
Chevy. I don't know.
You did a Chester Cheetah there. Aye.
What's the answer, Tony?
Oh, well, the answer is a Kia, the Telluride.
That's
Kia
right.
Telluride.
Yes. Tip of my tongue. All right, 2 for 4, Karen. Let's get back on the winning side here.
Karen, number 5 is Countach.
Oh, my gosh. It's got to be a Japanese.
Wow.
Well, give it a shot.
I'm going to go with Chevy again.
That would be Lamborghini
Oh.
or Lamborghini or Lamborghini.
Someone at Chevy's like, they thought it was the Lamborghini. We're doing something right.
Countach.
All right.
Number 6, Tiguan.
What?
Tiguan.
Oh, my gosh. These are hard.
I think they're made up.
I saw one yesterday.
What the?
What color was it?
It was like a nice navy blue.
All right. What's a
Shiny.
Tiguan?
I have no idea.
I'm going to say a lizard. Am I right?
That's a VW,
Well,
correct?
Well, Steve got
I
it
got
right.
it. Sorry, Karen. You don't get credit for that one, but
Number 7, Escalade.
I know that.
We'll see.
Chevy.
Oops. Nope, it's a Caddy. Cadillac.
Cadillac style.
I'm doing terrible.
No, you're doing
We're having a great time here.
You're right in the mix. Only 3 to go. Next up, 8, Cayenne.
Oh, my goodness.
Cayenne. Peppery little number running around.
Give me a minute to look it up.
No. Sorry.
What was it?
Give it a quick swing.
Here we go. Chevy.
Sorry. No, it's a Porsche.
Pepper.
Porsche. Or as Carmela Soprano would say, Tony, you got me a Cayenne. All right, your last 2, Wrangler.
Dodge.
Jeep.
The Jeep Wrangler.
And your last one is a Fusion.
Ford.
There
Yes.
you go. All right.
All right.
Ended on a good note.
3 for 10, which is not that bad. I know you're feeling down on yourself, Karen. Believe me, that's one. 30% is won around here more often than you might believe. So sit tight. We're going to see what contestant number 2 has to offer. Autocorrect. Candace, who is contestant number 2?
Jeff from Osakis.
Jeff, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You a car guy?
Yeah, in fact, I am.
Oh, fair enough.
right.
All right. Are you a Peter Gabriel guy?
Oh, my God, I love Peter Gabriel.
All right. Well, you're in the right
From
place.
Years ago.
That's great. Well, if you win this one, you're going to see him again next week. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's go, Jeff. Let's whale through these. Number 1, Outback.
All right, come on, Tony.
Outback.
Subaru.
Correct.
Bam.
Number 2, Integra.
Oh, man. What's that called? Those one cars.
Come on, car guy.
Yeah, hang on. Integra.
I think
It's not an Audi, it's the other one. It's the Acura.
You did it.
Wow.
thought that was for irritable bowel syndrome, Integra.
Oh, could be.
I love that.
Number 3, Gremlin.
AMC.
Yes.
Wow.
So maker of the Pacer and the Matador. Those fine vehicles. Number 4 is Malibu.
Chevy.
Good man. Number 5, Navigator.
Lincoln.
Oh, man. Jeff, you're just playing for the record now.
Your number 6 is Phantom.
Rolls Royce.
That was a tough one.
Wow.
Number 7, Altima.
Nissan.
Just running
Yes.
the table.
Number 8, Jeff, is Rabbit.
Volkswagen.
If this were a ping pong game, we would have stopped already.
Number 5 is Viper.
Dodge.
And your last one, the amazing Pinto.
Ford.
Yes, sir.
Wow. A clean sweep.
Wow.
Jeff is, in fact, a car guy. 10
Yeah.
for 10.
Damn.
Man, all over but the shout, and congrats to you. Karen, 3 for 10, not enough today, but you're not leaving empty-handed. We have Minnesota Wild Avalanche preseason tickets for Thursday, tomorrow night at the XL Energy Center. Jeff, congratulations, brother. 10 for 10 means you got tickets to see Peter Gabriel next Tuesday at the XL Energy Center. Cheers to you both. Thanks for playing.
Great. And since you went 10 for 10, first row, right? Upgrade?
You're playing bass, Jeff.
You're on stage.
Good luck to you.
They saw a car dealership many years ago, working here in radio. I was going out to do a car dealership gig on the weekend. They said, we have one of those Vipers, man. You want to drive that Viper around, Zep? I'm like, yeah, I want to drive the Viper. So I get out there, and I've been talking about it. I'm on the air. I'm going to drive the Viper. I get out there. They're like, okay, you can get in and drive it. Over to there. I said, over to where? You want me to like whip around the parking lot and park it there when I get back? They said, no, you can drive it over there. And he's pointing about 20 feet away. They let me go about 20 feet. They're like, that's enough. No, stop, get out. I thought, are you freaking kidding me?
You got to enjoy those little bursts.
No, I didn't enjoy it at all. It sucked.
Well,
Because I went 20 feet in a car that's designed to go to the moon and back.
No, I don't like your attitude, mister.
Yeah, well.
I've never driven or
Get out
been
of
in
my
a
Viper.
Dodge or been in a Dodge Viper. But anytime I see one, I have the same exact. This is what goes through my mind. What kind of a-hole would, man, I'd like to drive that for a second. It's like the immediate, just both repulsion. Come on, man. The world, that's pretty awesome. I saw I was on a bit of a road trip Saturday, and I saw what I would believe to see. I couldn't verify because it was coming at me and went past me, but I swear I saw like an old school Shelby Cobra, like a real one.
Ooh,
cool.
And if it wasn't, it was a really good kit of it was a recent that looked like the old job. There was one in Nashville. I've seen it on 2 occasions, and it's a real deal old Shelby Cobra. And both times it was being driven by an incredibly striking redheaded woman who I later heard was a music publisher's wife. Everyone, oh, the Cobra, the redhead, yeah, that's so and so. And I was like, well, man, she's got it good, because anytime she drives it, I've been in traffic, and all you see is people almost running into the car because everyone's staring at it.
Married well.
Yeah.
I see Rolls-Royce has announced, I just read last night, they're phasing out their V12 gas guzzlers by 2030. Rolls-Royce getting rid of the big boys.
Oh, well.
But from now on, they're just going to run, I guess, on the tiers of the poor.
Wow.
Oh, no.
I drove a Lamborghini once. I think I told you guys.
Yeah?
There was a place in Nashville called, like, you could just rent luxury cars for like
sure.
$200 an hour. And I knew a guy that it was his company. He'd been a roofer and did a deal with me on a local radio show. Then he called me one day. He goes, I got this new car thing. Come down. You want to drive one? And I was like, I don't want to drive one of those. But then I remembered I have a 12-year-old kid.
Perfect.
Or 13. He was in 7th grade. And we went down one day on a Saturday, beautiful fall day. My son and I rented, he just let us take for 2 hours, the sparkly purple Lamborghini.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And you've never seen 2 people with the same DNA with 2 completely different looks on their faces as we were driving around town in that thing. I felt immediately like the biggest douchebag that ever lived, and my son was the coolest guy that ever lived. And we were tooling around. We got on the highway, and I'm punching it, and
fun.
Boy, that thing had some jets. And then we were on some country roads south of town, and came to a red light. And it turned, as soon as it turned green, I punched it, so he's like, yeah. And then we saw a cop approaching to our right. Like, I gunned it as a cop was coming to a stop. And he's like, did you see that cop? I go, yeah. And I rolled around a curve and over a rise. And then I played as if he's chasing us. We got to get away from him. And so we took a couple of quick turns and floored it. And then we came to a stop. And I'm just lying through my teeth to my son about, we escaped the Johnny Law, and he was like, this is the coolest day of my life.
Johnny Law.
Yeah, well, you're a good dad. For doing that. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That thing sat 6 inches off the ground, by the way.
Aren't you like almost horizontal when you're sitting in the
It's
cockpit
what it felt
there?
like. When I sat down in it, I was like, there's no way that this car is this low to the ground. But it was.
Hot damn. Well, Frank Caliendo, you guys, appearing at Acme Comedy tonight and tomorrow night. Yeah, special midweek event. The weekend's here now with Frank Caliendo at Acme. Andy's our guest here at 7:30. Hang tight.
Come give your mama a kiss.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Frank Caliendo will be joining us momentarily in studio. In the meantime, hey, we just heard the Replacements, I'll Be You. Okay, Replacements, local legends, and for the record, just legends throughout the rock world ever since. One of the most influential bands of my generation. A bunch of guys like me who all started bands in the 80s grew up worshiping the Replacements. So that's not just a Twin Cities thing. That's literally everybody in every band I knew and was friends with was a Replacements fan. And it's kind of funny because we put on I'll Be You. We said we're going to play that song, and that's a song that KQ used to play back in the day, 30 years ago. And Zepp and I had the same immediate thought, which is, oh, yeah, but let's not play that one. Let's go. We immediately want to dig deep into the catalog. We want to go back to the early days because that's what fans, it's a reminder. Fan is short for fanatic. And, you want to prove your cred. To this day, you're like, yeah, but I love Hootenanny, man. Let it be. Tim, they sold out when they signed with Sire Records. All that nonsense. And all these years later, I'll Be You, which when it came out was a polarizing track.
Right.
A lot of Replacements fans heard that song and thought, oh, Paul's trying to write a hit song now. If that song had been on one of the earlier records, it would just sit right alongside all the rest as a really great, clever pop chestnut. Yeah. But because of the timing and the context and all of us being idiots without perspective, we didn't like that song. Sounded amazing to me listening to it right now.
And I didn't listen to it for so many years because as a big Mats fan in the late 80s, early 90s, it was really when Chris Mars, you understood with Bob Stinson and what was happening there. There was enough hubbub around town. You didn't need social media to understand what was happening with Bob Stinson. And then, of course, Chris Mars separated from the band, and then this came out, and it was very polished, and Matt's fans were like, oh, no, they've jumped the shark, it's too much. And then the years go by, and I'm listening to it this morning, and I've just got it cranked in my headphones. What a great tune, and just loving it.
It's a funny thing, bands I went through a thing with my own band where you sit around and you think, what should the single be? And especially on the first album. And the thinking is, well, this is like the best song, and this is another great song. And you're thinking of it in terms of not these are catchy, because we don't know what catchy is. You just want your favorite songs. And then they become hits, and then you go, well, it's just a song everyone knows. And it's like, yeah, everyone knows it because we chose it to be the single. Because at the time, we thought it was awesome. And then everyone else decided they liked it. And then this happens to a lot of artists. Then you go like, well, I'm sick of playing that one. It's like, well, then you shouldn't have run it up the flagpole yourself.
Yeah. And that was part of it, the narrative back then, too, because now KQRS was playing at the #1 rock station in town. And everybody was like, isn't this a great band? And I'm like, you don't even know where you weren't there for Let It Be, man. So, yeah, you're right. A lot of attitude comes with it. But, yeah, time softens that.
Yeah. My high school and college years were spent. I mean, I identified myself by the bands I was obsessed with. Yeah. I mean, that was my thing. Everybody in Kentucky played basketball, so okay. And I'm not as good as, I'm not playing college ball. Okay, that's not going to work. I'm an Orioles fan. No one cares. Okay, like the things that meant a lot to me. And I was a Beatles fan, but everyone's a Beatles fan. Like you're looking for those things at 14, 15, and I jumped on post-punk and new wave, and then that led me into the music I loved. But the Replacements were one of those bands that, I was flying that flag like a maniac, nonstop. And I look back now and just think it's so silly because I turned my back on and my ears on a lot of great music that I just decided, well, it's too popular. It's like, well, usually there's a reason it's popular, and sometimes it's because it's actually good. Go figure.
One of the greatest things you could hear regarding your band when you were a teenager and into those, angst years, and your bands defined you was, who's that? Who's that? Oh, you don't even know.
No, I know.
And then when everyone knows who that is, suddenly it's not cool.
It is an odd thing. I could say who's that right now because Frank Caliendo just walked into the studio. Frank, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing well, and you?
Man, I'm great now.
Ready to rock.
We've been talking about local legends, The Replacements. We just listened to a song by The Replacements.
Oh, really?
And you're not a local guy. You're a regional guy.
Regional, yes.
That was a little before your time, though. Were you aware of the shadow of The Replacements over the Midwestern
listen,
music
I'm
scene?
a bad music person.
I
don't know a lot of music, and people in radio always make fun of me because I'm known for doing so much radio that how little music I actually know.
We're not going to make fun of you while you're here.
I do. No, go ahead. I love it. It gives me something to talk about.
To leave.
But I should wait for you to finish. But it's odd because I do know like 90s alternative music and early 2000s.
Sure.
So I know you. Okay. Believe it or not.
Well, the Replacements.
And I didn't even have to look you up. It wasn't like that kind of a thing.
All right.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't have to.
No, but hey, better to cross all the T's and dot all the I's just to be safe. The Replacements were influential on all of the 90s alt-rock bands, that's for sure.
What's a big song or two from the Replacements?
Well, we just heard I'll Be You, which was, we were discussing the fact that was towards the tail end after we, the cool guys, had sort of thought, okay, they're not as good as they once were. But that was on the Singles soundtrack. Okay. Which is alt-rock Nirvana for the, early 90s. All the Seattle bands were on that. I'll Be You, and then Aching to... what would be the most well-known Replacement song?
Probably one of those, or maybe something off Pleased to Meet Me, but I don't know. Skyway is very well known.
Alex Chilton, a song about the great leader of the band Big Star. Anyway, all that to say, no, you're a joke because you don't know anything about music. So
ain't that the truth?
So, as a guy growing up, Frank Caliendo's in studio. You are at Acme tonight and tomorrow night, 8 p.m. both nights. You are, as we talked to you last week, everybody listening to this probably knows very well that you are literally a gifted, a magician with voices. And
a magician is the right word, too. You use the right word. I'm sorry to cut you off. I could see that you took a breath to say something else, but I jump in quickly.
Please do.
A lot of people think you're a wizard when you do voices, that you conjure it up. Mm-hmm. And that is not the truth at all. It takes a lot of work to get there. And I think of it as like sleight of hand.
Right, sure.
You mix stuff around with your voice. to get to certain things, and by adding and subtracting those types of elements.
It's like when you see a guy mix paint at Home Depot. They just put the tiny drop of this and a little bit of that, and all of a sudden you have a color you didn't expect to see.
Right. Then you have aqua, marine blue.
Exactly.
And that's going in my act for a part of the description of how you do this.
Very nice.
No, absolutely. That's a really great analogy. But
I'm curious. Okay, so some skill sets lend themselves to other strengths. This might get a little out there. Let me try to make this really linear. Having the talent you have and having the ability to hear and then process and turn around an impression like that, or imitating a voice, mimicking a voice, whatever the word is. Is there something else? Do you have also like a skill for linguistics or juggling, or is there something else that you think kind of goes hand in hand with that might be
a little
unexpected?
bit? I could play the piano by ear a little bit. I never really developed that. I wish I had.
Yeah.
I could never read notes. That's part of the problem. But I would sit down, and as a kid, I loved Scott Joplin, believe it or not. Do you remember Scott Joplin? Ragtime?
So, Screw Chopsticks. You're going right to Scott Joplin.
I went to the Maple Leaf Rag and started teaching myself that. Then I got the music, and then I started going little piece by piece.
Wow.
And learning it. And people would probably start with the Entertainer, but for some reason the Maple Leaf Rag, the Entertainer is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then for the old folks like me, I'm almost 50, the Maple Leaf Rag was the one that played in the background of Larry Bird and Dr. J go one-on-one on the Commodore 64.
Yeah, right, sure,
yeah. So...
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
So if that's your idea of where to start on piano, you probably had a knack.
Well, I could play it, but it was like a lot of studying, and I'd get some of the notes, and I couldn't read the notes, but then I'd try to figure it out, and then it would just be mechanical. It was muscle memory for me, and then I would mess around with it while I was playing it.
Right.
But I wish I tell my son has the ability too. And I go, learn to read the notes.
Yeah.
If you can't read and there was actually a Scott Joplin movie where that's why Scott Joplin succeeded in a lot of ways, according to this movie. He could read the notes in 1899, and all these other bordello piano players couldn't.
I would suggest that in the modern era, if he can hear and play and translate, then reading's not that big a deal.
Really?
Paul McCartney.
What do you know?
Paul McCartney doesn't read music.
Really?
No.
What does he know? What is he gonna do?
There you have it.
That's my impression. Most of these impressions I don't work hard at. I just go with it.
Everybody's got a Beatle, right? You just get that weird tilt in your mouth, and
I got a Super Bowl stuck in the mouth.
And you got to shake your head just a bit.
There it is.
Just a bit.
Bobbing around.
First voice you remember doing where you actually were like, no, I nailed it. Ooh. This is the one.
I would say non-character from a TV show or something like that was Jay Leno. I stuck my chin out, looked in the mirror, and like, hey, would you like some nacho cheese flavored Doritos?
What am I going?
And then it turned into Beaker from the Muppets.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah. And you're how old at this time, would you say?
Oh, I don't know. I guess that was probably right around college age.
Okay.
I would do watch In Living Color or something and watch Damon Wayans go, excuse me, client, a couple questions. Stuff like that. Right. But it wasn't really trying to. Robin Williams was another early one. And instead of doing the over-the-top Robin, I went for the serious Robin, the one where you grow a beard and try to win an Academy Award.
Oh, man.
It's just the way to do it,
It's really something right there.
It's one of those that changes your life.
Let me ask you this, Claire. Is it my fault or is it not my fault?
It's not your fault.
Okay, you're sure
it's not your fault.
Okay.
The hair on the back of my neck is standing up right now. That's a long set of hairs,
That's a lot of hair. Yeah,
oh,
really.
My goodness. Sasquatch is in the building.
It's always sweater weather for you.
Oh, my goodness, isn't it? Welcome to Minneapolis, St. Paul, where the saints are blessing us all the time.
It's just incredible to me because you do so many different voices. We had you on, I don't know, it was last week or the week before, there was just a call-in interview, and you were going through some of the contemporary modern voices. How do you keep them all? How can you get in and out of them so fast?
Muscle memory, just like the piano.
Really?
Yeah. So if they're new, they're harder to go in and out of.
Okay.
You have to struggle to get there. But I woke up with a slightly scratchy throat this morning. I don't know if it was from the flight or what, but or just a change in air or whatever. But it's really easy to do Morgan Freeman right now.
Yeah,
the truth of the matter is, this is just the way it's going to be.
You don't want to get in a treadmill. You'll lose him. Don't get that blood flowing. Keep it down.
No, keep it down here. Yeah. This or just smoke a full pack of cigarettes.
Do you have any rituals on how to maintain your voice and certain vocal exercises?
No, I wish I did. A friend of mine, Terry Fader, who's amazing singing ventriloquist impressionist, he does all these different types of things. He's got a throat doctor and stuff more like a singer, I guess, would. I've always been just I go out there and do it, which much to my detriment probably would have been better for me not to. But that's just the kind of the way.
At this point, if you tried to figure out a pre-gig protocol and stretching and exercises, it might get in the way. I mean, it's I'm a drummer.
I worry about that.
I'm a drummer, and at one point I was talking to a guy who's like a drum instructor and a really great clinician, and he said, he said, a lot of guys get into yoga, just they find that stretching as you get older. That's really helpful. It keeps you this and all that. And I said, okay, I'll try it. I got into it. I loved it. And it totally screwed up the way I felt when I played.
Oh, yeah.
Like I got everything in balance. And then I was like, no, I need to be out of balance.
You need to be a mess, right?
Do you
need to be a little bit of a mess to do it or no?
Just if I sit down and something hurts, I have a better gig. Because when you focus too much on what's going on, it's good to have. If I'm fighting the drum, if I'm fighting all night, like this doesn't feel right. Damn, I got to get. It's like I'm somehow more. I'm just listening and being a part of it on a level that I can't get if everything's perfect in a weird way. And I had nights where I recognized I feel great. I'm limber. I don't know. It was just to change something so far into it that was probably better for me overall. Didn't make me feel better doing the one thing I did it to try to get better at.
Yeah, I never, not at all. But it does. No,
I'm not concerned.
It's one of the. It actually does, but I never realized. It's probably because you were able to play and second nature takes in, right?
Yeah, always.
It takes over. So when you're thinking about playing, you're thinking about playing. But if you're not thinking about playing, you're just living it and doing it.
That's exactly.
I think that's
right.
acting. I think that's what acting.
The best gigs, you'd walk off stage, and for me, if I don't really remember it, then I probably meant it was a really good.
Yeah, I think that's the same way in comedy. I think there are things in comedy where you start riffing, and you start going. And you don't even feel it, and you're like, somebody record that? Somebody illegally record that? Because that's perfect.
Right, yeah.
That's going in the act.
My buddy, Kelly Jones, he's a singer in a Welsh band called Stereophonics. He's a tremendous singer. I mean, like a gravel-voiced, old-school Welsh, like tremendous talent. And he grew up, his dad was a singer, and he grew up in the working man clubs in Wales at 12 singing and trying to get stuff going. And he learned from his old man. He said he would take a shot of sherry, like a strong liquor, and kind of gargle it before a show. It warms his voice up. And he did that. That was his ritual. And then he found a polyp on his throat in his mid-40s, had to have it removed. And the throat doctor's like, what's going on? You got to keep your mouth shut. You can't talk for 6 weeks, but you're going to be fine. He's given the whole thing. And he asks him about his vocal warm-ups. And he goes, I do some warm-ups, but then I always gargle some sherry. And the guy looked at him and goes, what? And he goes, yeah, I learned that before. He goes, you need to stop that right now. And the guy broke down how that was just destroying his vocal cords. Like,
really?
It's just not good for you. The whole thing, and he was like, "Oh, okay. I started that when I was 16."
But that's how he gets the gravel, right?
Because
he's destroying the vocal cords.
He's still doing great. He's doing great.
Is he still doing it?
Oh yeah, no. He stopped doing it.
I would have kept doing
his
it.
Voice is still
because then who cares if you can't talk at 80?
Yeah, well that's true.
You're just pointing for pudding. That's all.
But you know what? See, he's the one guy because he knows the other Welsh guy who is 80, Tom Jones, still out there doing it. When you got
Didn't Tom Jones just die?
No, sir.
No.
Bite your forked tongue. Tom Jones will never die.
Who just passed away? Somebody just passed away.
Well, if he was Welsh, his name probably was Jones, but it wasn't Tom Jones.
No, you sure he didn't
Tony
die?
Bennett?
No, he died a while ago.
Yeah.
Bob Saget.
Oh, jeez. I was trying to stay with the genre, but yeah.
Yeah, you guys know Norm Macdonald passed away? Yeah, there you go.
Frank, you mentioned your son in the piano. Wasn't it about a year or two ago? Oh, I hope I get this right because I'm going from memory, and that never works for me. Don't you have a daughter, Juliet? And wasn't she doing an impression with you on a morning show somewhere?
Oh yeah, she does some. She
does.
She can do. They're usually higher pitched than the actual person.
Yeah.
But she'll do.
She's got it, huh?
Oh yeah. My son can do it too. My son, they just don't want to be like me.
Let's go figure.
They've got that.
How old are they now?
No idea. I haven't seen them in years.
They'll come back around.
My son is 19, I believe. Yeah, 19. He's a sophomore at ASU, and my daughter's 17. She is a senior in high school.
Oh
Perfectly,
my God, I feel so old.
Perfectly appropriate ages. Perfectly appropriate. That's age appropriate thinking. I don't want to be like you. They're going to come back around.
Yeah, I mean, my son is into the point where he wants to try and help me be, like I don't try to do a lot. I don't know what it is. I've just gotten into this thing where
He wants to manage your career?
Yeah, kind of.
Like Tom Jones's son.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, see, it all comes back around. That's called a button, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice
work.
Hey, if you're looking for something to do tonight, go to Acme Comedy because tonight and tomorrow night, Frank Caliendo will be on stage.
The show tomorrow night is like 5 to 10 tickets away from being sold out.
Okay.
So that show's just about sold out, and tonight has like 25 tickets left. So.
Get to Acme Comedy Company tonight. Go online, get tickets. Frank is there tonight at 8 and tomorrow night at 8. And in studio with us right now. Wait, flew in from? Where's home?
I was Phoenix. I was in Phoenix.
Oh, that's right. I knew that, and I forgot. I was like, wait, how far a flight is that?
It wasn't even that bad.
So it's a dry heat. You like that in the summer out there?
No, I hate it.
Yeah, okay.
But we were inside we have this invention called air conditioning.
Is that right?
That's we're
drove across country in August with my son, and we went through northern Arizona,
Okay.
and it was still just cooking, baby.
Was it that bad?
It was 106, 107.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, and people say that dry heat thing, they're idiots. At 110.
Triple digits,
They don't cook pottery in wet heat. A kiln.
Yeah, that's true.
A kiln is still a kiln. You go into is it a sauna? No, it's not a sauna. It's a sauna.
Steam room.
No, not a steam room. It's a sauna.
Dry sauna.
Convenience
Sauna.
store.
Yeah.
Library.
Library is it. When you get a book,
Yep.
and you start reading it, that's a dry read.
That's a dry read. That's exactly what that is.
I'm looking for a wet read.
I hear you.
Wow. We've really changed this. Are you sure you don't want me to nod off again?
You've been in Arizona for how long?
My daughter is 17, so 17 years.
And so kids, wife, kids, everybody, are you Cardinals fans? Are you cheering for...
It's even tougher than being a Vikings fan.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Although we won last week, I'm not on the team anymore. I got released.
Great run, though, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me and Kyler Murray.
Speedy, total sneaky fast.
I'm
on
very
those
sneaky.
outruns.
I'm Julian Edelman, Edelman, like working on my enunciation. How now, brown cow?
How does Julian Edelman get out of bed in the morning at this stage of the game? He must just ache.
I saw him on a show the other day, and it's so funny because he is so low key too most of the time.
Yeah.
And he looks like he might have, a bunch of pains.
Oh,
and then he was doing
imagine.
his Belichick impression. I'm like, you are Belichick. He almost sounds exactly the same. They're just both kind of doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Did you hear Belichick on the Taylor? I don't know if you heard this, but Taylor Swift was at a football game the other day. Did you hear anything about that?
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know she was a fan.
No, she's
figure.
not. And somebody asked Belichick, and what a great line it was. I think it was local radio. Did you see this?
I heard about it.
It was local radio in Boston, and I think, and somebody asked him about the Taylor Swift thing being there that Travis Kelce at the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Travis Kelce's had a lot of big catches, and I think this is probably the biggest one yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
strong.
Belichick's that's a great line that's a Stephen Wright level.
That's pretty great.
Dry humor right there.
He's a big lacrosse fan, Belichick. His
Is
kids
he really?
played lacrosse, and he coached his son's high school lacrosse team as an assistant coach for a high school team. Literally.
I didn't know that. Why is that not out there?
I don't know. And I know that because I was in Baltimore, and I went to one of my nephew's high school lacrosse games, and I'm standing there with my brother, and his son is on the field, and lacrosse in Baltimore is the sport. It's huge. That's Baltimore, Maryland is lacrosse. Just trust me on
no,
this
it's not
one.
Baseball or football.
No, it's all about lacrosse. And as a high school sport. And I'm watching these two teams play, and it was a tournament, and this team was across the field from Massachusetts. And I'm standing there, and right as I look, my brother goes, yeah, that's Belichick over there. And I go, what? This is like in 2007. I go, what? He goes, yeah, his son's on the team. He's the assistant coach. We see him every year.
That's
and sure
insane.
enough, And then in that setting, talking to other dads, everyone swore greatest guy in the world, hilarious, cutting up, totally normal dude. And then, of course, as an NFL coach, the exact opposite. Just paint drying.
I think that
on
a lot of that's just for the camera, too. He doesn't like to be seen in front of the camera having any kind of fun. He's a smart aleck and all this kind of stuff. But wouldn't it have been funny if you're at that tournament, then you go to the concession stand and Andy Reid's eating a cheeseburger?
Would have been awesome.
Like, just all the NFL coaches are there with their kids. That's just a great sketch right there. That would be fantastic.
After they breaking down the game with other dads, they are who we thought they were. Just pissed off over the court. It'd be fantastic. Frank Caliendo's in studio with us. He's at Acme tomorrow night as well as tonight. And Candace, I believe we have a caller who has a question for Frank.
Yeah, Nick from Rosemont.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Frank, long time fan. Basically, a lot of my early teen years, I'd spend Saturday nights watching Mad TV, then Sundays watching you on Fox NFL Sundays. So
well, thank you, Sonny.
No, I appreciate it. So if thinking NFL, with the late, great John Madden passing away, do you avoid doing impressions after someone you do an impression of either pass away or gets in trouble with the law? Do you avoid those impressions, or do you keep doing them for?
That's a great question. And it really is a great question, and I probably would have said that even if it wasn't. But here's the thing. People come to see the Madden thing, so I have to do it. It's not as big as it used to be, and I would choose probably not to do it at all if I didn't think the audience was paying to see it. Right. But since they are, that's definitely in there. That's my free bird, I guess. That's
that's when the lighters come out.
Yeah. That's what I should do. That would be another funny sketch. So yeah, and when people get canceled or whatever, wait for them to come back a lot of time. Although it's getting to the point where everybody's canceled, so you don't even know anymore.
Sure.
I'm not even sure. I just try. I do a lot of corporate work, so I try not to get myself in trouble based on somebody else.
You're not going to go deep in the weeds with a Russell Brand this week.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Just double check.
But it's that's the type of thing. Like, so when Gruden, all the stuff happened with Gruden, people wanted me to read the Gruden emails.
Yeah.
On their radio stations. I'm like, first of all, I know the guy. Yeah. Second of all, there's some bad stuff, but I know a lot of coaches who talk like that.
Sure.
And you don't know I'm not ever saying anything's okay, but you go back and look at me. I got a lot of terrible stuff in my life too. So
there's a million things that need to be corrected, and along the way, there's usually naturally history would show some overcorrecting, and then it all balances out.
But I watch some of these see some of these podcast cuts on TikTok and stuff like Bobby Lee and Andrew Santino, and I'm like, well, apparently you can just do whatever you want. I mean, the thing is, as soon as somebody sees you making a lot of money doing something, that's when they go after people.
Of course.
So it's never really because of what you're actually doing. It's like, well, now we can go get the advertisers and go against you.
Well, yeah, there's not really a history of people on their way up that no one's ever heard of getting canceled yet.
Right.
That's not really how that works.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You know what I mean?
But as soon as you're...
I know this, the local music scene, every time a band gets signed and then has a big hit, up until that point, no one cared. Right. And then suddenly it's like, no, they always suck. They're terrible people. It's
right.
Like,
yeah. And
what are you talking about? We were all just doing the same crap.
Right. And then you forget they're human. Yeah. All of a sudden you're held to a different standard. So imagine, and I listen, I'm not a political person, but imagine that's a million times more when you get into politics. On any side.
It's completely. I say this as someone who I see myself as a reasonable person, and I don't buy anybody's act until I've seen it. I assume everybody's working an angle in that realm. But to that end, anybody that survives, you just think to yourself, boy, that's who I'm taking out on a. Like if I'm on a desert island, I'm going out with that guy. He's been on Capitol Hill 40 years. He can live through anything.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Like, holy crap. That's not necessarily a ringing endorsement for his humanity, but I want to be in a foxhole with those crazy-ass people. Hey, let me ask you this. Speaking of comedians and people getting a lot of blowback right now, Hassan Minhaj is getting a stand-up and a guy who hosts the Daily Show. There was an article recently and he kind of copped to a lot of his act being based in reality, but a lot of other people in the comedy world are saying you crossed the line. You added too much.
In the comedy
to your
world,
stories.
they're saying that?
There are actual people in comedy. Tons of writers and journalists are trying to rip him apart because he said, well, this story I've told for years didn't actually happen to me, but I know a guy it happened to. And people are saying you're crossing the line. It's a connection. In your world, I guess it's because, I mean, I know you have material, but there's so many of the voices and things like that. But there has to be lines where you think, just naturally, without worrying about cancel culture, what's too far? How far can I push this? Like if you did, I'm just saying, let's say you have this great line or you have a great bit, John Madden as Ron Jeremy. I would think that would be hilarious. Okay. At some point though, you got to go, wait, I'm bumping up against the Madden estate and the family and the legacy, and that might not be cool. I mean, do you find yourself writing things and midway through go, no, it's too much?
I don't know. I stray so far from any of that. I don't take a lot of chances.
Okay.
Like I said, because I do a lot of corporate work and stuff like that, and sometimes they have clauses in there. But I do think the hedgehog, boom. I'm and I actually at some point want to get away from that and talk more and be less careful.
Okay.
But I am very careful as it is. So yes, I constantly over worry, especially because I was with the NFL stuff for so many years.
Oh man, that
was always and when sports has changed a little bit in the last. When I was at Fox, that was 10 years ago probably. I was there for 9 or 10 years. Probably 9, but I say 10 because it sounds better. But I was there for 9 years, and at the time it was just a different. Anything that waded into we did Trump with Trump. Trump was on there right before he ran for president. And I did a sketch with him, and it was, I've decided to run for president. I've decided to not run for president. I've decided to not run for president. And I'm not even sure if I'm running right now. And I did that sketch with Trump, and it had some blowback, but not what it would have now.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
sure.
it was crazy. So it would be crazy.
But I'll say this, just an unsolicited compliment. Anytime I see any entertainer / artist who knows who they are, I'm impressed because there's such a tendency to beat yourself up, and so a lot of folks get into, especially in comedy, and I say this with a lot of comedians as personal friends. You're all just trying to patch that hole in your soul somewhere, and there's a lot of great art comes from there. There's just as many people who have figured it out. They're keeping that in or out based on their own. They're making those own decisions in real time. But here's the thing: they know what people want. They know what they're best at. They work to their strengths. I'm always so relieved when I see that.
I work against my strengths a lot,
Do
though.
you?
Yeah, no, I know what works, and I get tired of it. So I'm trying to do things differently. I've heard other people talk about this, but at the time it was an original thought. You spend the first part of your career pigeonholing yourself to get known, and the second part of your career is becoming something different that you actually want to be.
Right.
So I even pitched myself as the Madden guy when I first started.
Yeah, sure.
And that was just so people would remember me.
Right.
And now if somebody brings that up, I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do to myself? That's all they think. Like when I would do Fox NFL Sunday, like I said, 9 years there, I did different impressions all the time. But I love when you used to do Madden on there. And I'm like,
sure.
I did. There were 17 weeks of stuff, and Madden was 2 of them.
Right.
Oh, I thought you just did Madden there. It's that type of thing. So
I get it. I get all sides of that. I think what I was just saying is,
I know myself. I do know myself in terms of business and what I am the best at. I know all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's why you don't see as much of me around in places on TV and stuff, because they will always want to cast me in a sitcom, and then it becomes the guy who does the voices on the sitcom.
Sure.
So, I'll do that once in a while just to stay out there, or I'll put on a TikTok or something like that, because I know it works.
Yeah.
I know exactly what it works, but it doesn't make me love what I'm doing. Like you and I were talking off the air about all the different projects and things you're working on. That's the stuff you love. Those are passion projects. And not that you don't like playing the drums.
No, of course.
But that's something you've mastered.
I think at the end of the day, it sounds to me, and from what I'm seeing, is you got it kind of figured out. You're still pursuing things you want to do, but you're keeping.
I know I want to act. Covered. I know I want to act and be in small parts. That's awesome. That's what I want to do. Yeah. It's just getting people to believe that I can do that.
Sure.
I mean, most people who do impressions are, and the audience can judge this for themselves.
Right.
You've kept talking to me as a human being as opposed to talking to me and asking me to be a wheel of impressions right now. So I'm assuming that I've been entertaining and interesting enough for you to want to talk to as a human being.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people who do the impressions, that's all they can do. Mm-hmm. They can't be something else. And that's really what I've put out there the most. So people see that. I enjoy having these conversations. In this conversation with you right now, a million times, and I'll throw in a Morgan Freeman. Yes, there we go, and then work it in and make it happen. But I think people have heard me do a lot of that, and it's the moments now like this where people go, "Oh, there's a human being behind this," Rolodex of impressions.
Well, look, I'll say this: I got a 3-piece band, and we need a piano player. Let's go.
I was just going to say, I love his Frank Caliendo impression.
Right? Yeah.
Come on,
I wish I could. I wish I had that level to know what I was doing. Like I said, that's one of those things. My mom was also a piano teacher, believe it or not, like a person who would go and teach at home, but I never wanted to learn from her.
No, of course. You're sitting down and you're pulling Scott Joplin out of the ether and figuring it out, and she's a piano teacher going, "Let me help you."
Yeah, I'm doing syncopation.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And she's like, "How are you doing your left hand and right hand?" And I'm like,
"Oh my God,
I really don't know. It's just I love this."
By the way, my son gave up the drums at 10, and I was like, he's already better than me, and he's just like, I don't care. Yeah, he's just natural. Sit down and just go.
Well, they see you and they want to emulate you, and then when they like you when they're young, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I remember my son telling me when I put him to bed one time, he goes, I remember saying, "You're just like me when I was little." And I remember him telling me another night, "Dad, tell me how I'm just like you were." And that was like one of the greatest moments of my life.
Oh, now I gotta get all misty.
Yeah. Well,
she's Frank Caliendo. You are at Acme tonight and tomorrow night, and you are welcome here anytime, brother.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's great to hang out with you.
Awesome.
Appreciate you coming in. Hey, from Frank Caliendo, let's just shift gears dramatically, shall we? Peter Reese is calling in. He is an Emmy Award-winning producer of a new show, Cold Case Files on A&E, The Rifkin Murders. We're going deep into true crime. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
This is the KQ Morning Show. My name is Steve Gorman, and boy, oh boy, we had a good time with Frank Caliendo. He's at Acme Comedy Club tonight and tomorrow night. 2 nights, I would recommend strongly going to see him if you get the chance. And then we just spent, Frank and I just, by the way, solved most of the world's problems during that commercial break.
Thank you for that.
Least we could do. You know what I mean? It's absolutely the least we could do.
A talented rascal he is.
He certainly is. Boy, we got on a tear. And as I mentioned before the break, we're shifting gears pretty drastically right now. We're going from Frank Caliendo to Peter Reese, who's an Emmy Award-winning executive producer, a man who's got a new 2-part special on Cold Case Files, a man who has sat down face-to-face with a serial killer named Joel Rifkin. And in a world where true crime seems to be slowly but surely taking over, if not just the Gorman household, but a few others, this one's pretty intense. Peter, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks for having me this morning.
Okay, Joel Rifkin is a serial killer from New York State. If anybody's not familiar with his personal story, give us the cliff notes, if you would.
Sure. He was arrested in 1993, and when he was arrested, he had a body in the back of his car that he was disposing of. Her name was Tiffany Bresciani, and he confessed to killing 17 women over a 4-year killing spree from 1989 to 1993.
And you have spent time with him face-to-face.
I have. I first interviewed him back in 1998 for a science documentary I was doing that investigated sort of the biological influences of violence. And I've stayed in touch with him on and off over the years. And recently I was doing research and reading about how investigative genetic genealogy has been transforming cold cases in law enforcement. And it kind of made a light bulb go off in my
autism. And so I thought, hey, maybe with the IgG, maybe there's a way to identify these two women that have never been identified and let their families know what happens to their loved ones.
Wow, this is absolutely kind of mind-boggling to me. This show, Cold Case Files, I should say, it's on A&E September 27th at 8:30 Central. This will air for the first time, excuse me, Saturday. Yeah, the 27th, and then Saturday, September 30th as well. It premieres. So. I'm getting my dates wrong. It's this Saturday, the 30th. Okay, thank you, Peter. When you sit down, when you've got a tremendous track record, investigative journalism, you've been a producer, you've done all kinds of things, tragedies, weather things. You know, you've had your career built on all kinds of insane stories. This one, to me, though, you're sitting down with one guy. It's not a hurricane. It's not a terrorist attack. It's one person, and you're in a room with that one person. Do you find yourself looking for a glimpse of humanity, or is it just as simple as there's none to be found here? I'm just going to get whatever cold, clinical, detailed information I can get on this guy.
You know, it's really interesting talking to Rifkin because it's disarming. He comes across as absolutely normal. He talks to you like a normal person. He has insights. He asks me about things that are going on in my life and tells me about things that are going on in his life. So you kind of have to remember that you're talking to a psychopath that has caused a lot of misery for a lot of people in the world. And it's very disarming because you can just be talking to him and be like, oh, he seems like a regular person. I think the biggest thing is that he's a really smart guy. He has an IQ of 120, which is pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do believe he's a psychopath. He's been profiled that way, and I think that if you're a psychopath, you don't have the emotion, you don't have the empathy, you don't have that lever in your body. I think he knows he's supposed to feel remorse and feel bad for what he's done. I just don't think he can physically feel it. He just doesn't have that emotion in his body.
So this is more of a nature versus nurture thing. He was, I guess, born that way then.
Well, that's. I think nature and nurture have to come together in a toxic mix to create a psychopath. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why I found it really interesting and why I interviewed him for that science documentary so long ago is that he had a pretty normal childhood. He had two loving parents and a loving sister. He was kind of given everything in life that you need to succeed. He had a good education, yet he still went bad. And so I kind of wanted to dig into why, and I do believe that biology plays a role. It's not the only role. There's lots of people that have the same biology as him that don't become serial killers, but there is a mix between nature and nurture, and it just has to come together in the wrong way.
Mm. Yeah, Peter, fascinating. Can't wait to see this weekend, the first part on A&E. Does he talk graphically about the murders? You talked about him being disarming and having a nice personality. And then does he just segue into talking about the murders? And did you notice a change in his demeanor if he did?
Well, that's the thing that's so kind of scary is that his demeanor doesn't change. When he does talk about the murder, it's so matter of fact. It's like it doesn't even register with him. It's just like drinking a glass of water. Damn. And so that's what's really scary.
Does he talk about what he got from it? Because he did it for a reason. He just wasn't bored. Like, oh, that's a matter of fact. There was some feeling, something he must have got from that he didn't get from the rest of his life.
He says it's still a mystery to him. He wants to know why he ended up in prison for the rest of his life. And he says he still doesn't know or understand why he did it. Certainly, there was a sexual element involved. All his victims were sex workers that he picked up. But he, as he says, he picked up hundreds of sex workers and only 17. And he only killed 17. Not to make light of 17, but I mean out of hundreds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the big mystery. That's what everyone wants to know is why those 17 and why not the others? What comes across him? What does he get from it? Why does he do it? And I don't think we have those full answers yet, but we certainly have some clues that we investigate.
Two-part special on A&E Cold Case Files, The Rifkin Murders. It premieres Saturday, September 30th at 7 Central, I should say. I said 8:30 before. 7 Central here. That's going to be on A&E. Peter, with a guy like Joel Rifkin, true crime has become something we're so much more aware of. There's so much more information, especially about serial killers. It seems to be something that's in the modern age harder to get away with these kind of things. I guess you said he was picked up in the early 90s before smartphones and before everybody was playing detective. But does he have conversations? Is there any sort of a Silence of the Lambs thing here where he looks at other cases and weighs in on it? Is that something that people actually do? Do you go to someone in prison and say, here's someone out there now doing this. We'd like you to help us try to track him down. Anything like that in his experience?
He has weighed in on the Long Island serial killer, and he did so before before Rex Heuermann was captured, before anyone knew who he was. He had weighed in. I don't think law enforcement specifically sought him out for his insight into that, but he wanted to give his opinion. He felt like he had some insights, and a lot of what he said about the Long Island serial killer turned out to be true.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty fascinating. Peter, you've been doing this for a long time, over 30 years. Is there an interview you've ever given or produced or been a part of that was as unsettling maybe, or as it made you as queasy as sitting down across from Joel Rifkin?
Well, I did interview another serial killer. His name was Arthur Shawcross, and he was the worst serial killer in New York state history before Rifkin came along. He killed, I believe, it was 13 women in Rochester in the 80s, and I'm not going to compare the two as one was worse than the other, but Shawcross practiced cannibalism, and so he told me about that, and that was a shocker.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. And
yeah, that's you get out of there and you're thinking like, yeah, I think I'm just going to go bowling. I'm gonna go for a run,
read some poetry.
That's a lot to carry around with, man. In a very long career, you're carrying a lot of stories that you must develop a callus for it, muscle to you. I imagine you've had plenty of days where at the end of the day, you have to kind of pretend that just didn't happen almost in order to get to sleep at night.
Sure. I mean, this one had a really meaningful North Star, and that was that we were in it specifically to try to identify these two women. And what I learned is that if you are missing a loved one and you don't know what happened to them, the closure is real. If you don't know what happened to them, your mind is constantly spinning. What happened to them? Are they still alive? What's going on? And even though it's not good news to learn what happened to your loved one, if she was murdered by a serial killer, it's obviously not good news. It does put your mind at ease. And so, through this production, I just kept thinking, the reason I'm doing this is to try to help these families.
That's as good as a North Star is going to be, I guess. That says it all right there. Peter, thank you so much for the time. We'll be talking about this again between now and Saturday, because this is the kind of thing that we are kind of endlessly fascinated with. Thank you, sir.
Hey, it was great talking to you. Thanks so much for having me.
You got it. A&E Saturday night, 7 Central. Cold Case Files, The Rifkin Murders. Yep. Boy, it's one thing for us to sit around and talk about it. And I grew up, I think we talked about this once. There was a copy of Helter Skelter in the Gorman household that I picked up and started reading when I was like 9 or 10. Yeah. Little sooner than I probably would have liked to. But then in the 80s, when guys like Ted Bundy became household names, I mean, I read a book, the last surviving witness, or the only surviving, whatever, the first Bundy book written by the detectives that grabbed him. And I had a passing fascination with this stuff back in the day. And to talk to someone who's actually sat in that room with somebody like this, and I'm glad that last answer really helped. Like he said, well, no, there's a North Star reason for doing this. We're trying to give some closure to some families. Other than that, short of that, the idea of being in a room with someone who's done these things, I mean, it sends a literal chill up my spine just thinking about that fact.
Yeah, just think about that. Taking your work home is a factor for everybody.
Yeah.
But for them, so different.
We were just talking with Peter there, and I'm thinking he just spoke with Rifkin. Well, I jump on him like, oh, Rifkin. I'm not sure I know that one, so I'll Google it here during the break so I know what we're talking about. Killed his first victim, they think, in February of 1989. Then dismembered her body, removed her teeth and fingertips, put her head in a paint can, which she left on a golf course, which they found on the 7th hole. You're out golfing this weekend. You come up on the 7th hole. There's a paint can with a head in it. Disposed of her legs further north. Dumped
That's a
her
hazard.
torso into the East River. Yeah, right.
And then he just said, and he could sit there and be very charming and just and you have to remind yourself at all times, I'm sitting with a psychopath.
Wasn't the one they referenced on Seinfeld? Wasn't that the Joe Rifkin? Elaine was dating a guy with that name.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Rifkin the Ripper.
Holy smokes! All right, well, I need a shower now.
How about 10 ways to distress your life?
That would come in pretty handy right about now.
Calming. I'm curious about this. Let's click on this and share it with you at 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Wednesday, September the 27th. Good morning. It's been a banner day around here so far if you're just joining us. We had Frank Caliendo in for a couple of segments. He's at Acme tonight and tomorrow night. We just had a fascinating conversation with a guy named Peter Reese, who's the executive producer of a show this Saturday night on A&E that looks into the Rifkin killers. Joel Rifkin, a serial killer in New York State of note. And the man we just spoke to sat down and interviewed him one-on-one several times. Pretty fascinating turn of events. A comedian, a guy who's hung out with serial killers. And now we figured it probably best that we talk about stress. Let's de-stress ourselves a little bit, shall we? One way you can probably get rid of a lot of stress while adding a tremendous amount of stress at the same time would be to win the Powerball.
Yeah.
And I say that because the Powerball now is pushing $900 million. Remember a few months ago when it was over $1 billion?
It's been happening so fast.
And a guy in California won it. The guy's name is Edwin Castro, and we know that, which is too bad for him. Step one of winning the lottery is put that in a trust and never have your name anywhere near it so nobody finds out you won all that money. 31-year-old Edwin Castro in Los Angeles is taking the opposite of my advice. He's letting everybody know, and he's scooping up houses one after another. He's now just purchased a $47 million mansion in Bel Air, which is the neighborhood in Los Angeles where $47 million mansions exist. He's driving around in a Porsche. This is not his first home. This is his second home. I'm sorry. No, it's his third home since winning the lottery. He has a $4 million mansion in the mountains. He's got a $25.5 million estate in the Hollywood Hills and now a $47 million estate in Bel Air.
What did he do before?
Did not make plans for what to do when you get $1 billion. I can promise you that.
I don't know. If you can't get out of it, get into it, I guess. I mean, let's, what's the worst? People are going to ask you for money? No. No. I mean, just ignore them. Just move on. Yeah, whatever.
I'm here to tell you that 2 months in, you're already doing this. This is going to be the biggest of all the great lottery stories where a guy's got nothing 10 years from now.
Yeah. Well,
he is just buying and buying and buying, baby.
Well, start smoking and drinking and doing cocaine and make it a 10 years and check out, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. It's people say that it complicates, it ruins your life if people find out. And I just say, you're not a big enough jerk then. You're too caring because you're going to worry about people wanting money. If some comes up to me and says, oh, my child's dying, I just need $10,000. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have had kids. Sorry, I can't hear you. The 12 cylinders on my new Viper is too loud.
Gosh, I so hope you win.
So do I. So do I.
Yeah, please. Just get, as I say every time the money's this tough, just give me 1%. Just give me 1%. Come on, man. I've earned 1% of your $900 million, haven't I?
Yes.
We all agree. Everybody, if any of us wins, we're giving 1%. We're giving a point to each other.
I'll buy the radio station and turn it over to you guys.
We're going out to breakfast, huh?
Yeah, Perkins.
Yeah.
Oh man, silver dollar pancakes.
Whatever you want.
That'd be fantastic. If you don't win the lottery, if you don't win the Powerball and you still would like to de-stress your life, there are other ways you can do it. A psychology teacher in California recently gave students in his class, here's a list of 101 ways to de-stress your life. 101 ways to de-stress your life. And some of these make perfect sense, and some of these, you got to be kidding me. Number one, get up 15 minutes earlier. Who are you talking
Hell
to?
no.
No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I get up. I set my damn alarm and still wake up ahead of it because I'm panicked. I can't possibly push it back another 15 minutes.
No, even little increments would be just torture.
Yeah. When you get up in the middle of the night, right, you're looking for a little extra. It's amazing how quickly your mind can make decisions when you hit the snooze. I don't need to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
I don't need to get dressed. I don't need to, you just keep hitting it. I've tried that, though. I thought, I get a little stressed when I get here. If I had 15 more minutes, I literally had this thought. If I had 15 more minutes, then I wouldn't be rushing through the pre-show. I'd be able to relax and just kind of get through it. But it doesn't matter. 15 minutes and then another 15 minutes, I'm still rushing. It doesn't seem to correct what it's supposed to.
I can't have a sip of water after 6 p.m. if I want to sleep through the night. Like I'm so aware of my liquid intake of anything after a certain point. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Because there's a lot of nights, man. I'm in bed at 8. I'm like, lights out, let's go. And then I wake up and I feel fully. I'm like, oh my God, like I gotta pee. But I think I had a pretty good night's sleep, and it's 11. And I'm like, oh, no. And then me and the Wordle app are having a new little get-together, and I'm doing a crossword with I can't find my readers. I think I'm putting in a Z here. I can't see.
And then you always pass out 15 minutes before the alarm goes off.
Oh, I don't have the luxury now doing this show, but throughout my life, when I have those wake-ups in the middle of the night, oftentimes, I only get back to sleep once the sun starts to come up. Does that ring a bell with any of you guys? I have this thing. If I wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. for years, that's when all the subconscious, what have I done with my life, it all starts rolling, right? Going down the tracks. And no matter what I do, I'm like wide awake. And the second I see that first break of daylight, then it's like, okay. It's almost like I got to make sure I get to the dawn. Like, what's that Shakespeare line? Something about
darkest before the dawn.
A goose and a gander, and I'm a Michigander. I don't know. There's something about something about the sun coming up. Then all of a sudden, my body relaxes. Like I'm terrified. Like I'm not going to make it to the sunrise or something. It's weird. But 15 minutes earlier, no. 0 for 1 right there.
All right.
Here's another one. Here's another one to de-stress your life, and this is one I'm still learning. Don't rely on your memory. If you need to remember something, write it down. That's taken me forever.
Boy, I
have a good memory for certain things, but not short-term good memory. I have a terrible short-term memory, and it's taken me forever to just admit it. Until I had a smartphone with a calendar, and then that still took me years to start putting things in.
Right.
Man, people used to look at me like, what is wrong with you? I just told you this 5 minutes ago. Like, if you want something to hit my memory, it's got to circle in my brain for like 3 days. Then it's there for life, and I can't delete it no matter what. But if you give me some fascinating information and come back to me an hour later, I will look at you and go, I'm sorry, what?
What's it? And you are?
I remember talking to you. I totally remember some of the nouns and verbs you're using. But
it happens during the show all the time. You will exercise this savant-like memory from when you were 7 years old.
It's terrible.
And describe something, so specifically that it's like it's happening to you right now. And then we'll get into the story. And I'm like, we just literally talked about doing that story 4 seconds ago that you're not doing.
I've always had if I have a conversation with anybody at any length and I hang the phone up and Rosemary goes, so what was that all about? And I'm like, huh? To recount a conversation I just had, it's impossible.
Ask you in 10 years.
Yeah, I have to sit there and go, hang on, hold on, let me think about this. So like I called him, no, he called me. It's ridiculous. I'm like, please ask me in a couple days, and I'll remember. I'll tell you in between which consonant he burped. But right now, I have no idea what we just decided to do. Okay, how about this? Say no a lot more often. I've gotten good at that.
Yeah.
A lifelong overcommitter. Like as a person, people pleaser. Yeah, I'll do it. I got you. Oh, Johnny on the spot. And then one day I just went, I can't. I guess I could just say no. I'd love to, but I can't.
Say no. I have major FOMO.
Really? Yeah. See, I've told the kids, saying yes and then no is way worse than saying no and then yes. Like, say no Keep your boundaries up and say no, because then you can always go, actually, I can do that. Actually, I want to do that. Actually, I will do that. And then that's easier than saying yes to everything and then realizing I've just overcommitted myself and I actually don't even want to do it. That was a problem I had as the young politician of the Gorman household. I was just keeping everybody at bay.
That's a great piece of advice, actually. No before yes, and you can always go back to yes, and you've saved the day. But once you say yes, it's hard to get out of it. I do pretty well with no, I think, unless I've been drinking. And then I'll get up, especially if you watch after the appearance up at Cragen's Resort, I'm going to have said yes to about 5,000 things. You get up and you get a pocket full.
I'll bring my list.
I know, right? I wake up, I've got a pocket full of business cards with, remember you said you were going to do this?
So Cragen's Resort weekend with Zepp, it's like Don Corleone's daughter's wedding. Ask him for anything at Cragen's. The answer will be yes.
Yes, the answer is always yes.
The old Sicilian tradition. I didn't know you were Italian, Zepp. That's fascinating.
Only when I'm drinking.
How about this one? Stop trying to fix other people. Well, then, my God, what's left? Fix myself? No. I say no.
That's stressful.
I will continue to try to fix others. Thank you. Man, that is stressful. Like right away, you're like, why am I'm starting to my heart rate's quickening a little bit. I'm starting to sweat on the my forehead here a little bit. Strive for excellence, but not perfection. I've never had a problem with that one. I didn't have the perfect gene.
Yeah, no, I've never even come close to perfection.
I knew kids early in life that were total perfectionists, and this is an absolutely true thing. I remember. One kid's name was Robert Patrick, not the actor who played the liquid cop in Terminator 2, but a kid with the same name. And he was a perfectionist. He'd get a 99 on a spelling test and he would cry.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And
that's his parents' fault, though.
It was 100%, but that was him. And we were in 5th grade, and I'm like, okay, note to self. Perfection is not the goal. That's not a good thing. Eagle Scout, I beat him in the spelling bee, and he punched me.
What was the word? Do you remember?
I don't remember what he was eliminated on.
Perfection. Yeah.
But by the way, I guarantee you, our teacher, Mrs. Clow, she totally set it up for him to lose because she was always she couldn't stand him.
Interesting.
She was like, you have got to get some balance. She would try to give him talks about this perfection thing. I don't remember the word that he went out on. I, of course, remember that I misspelled ancient, which to this day haunts me because I know how to spell ancient. And
I don't think you do.
For some reason, I threw an H in after the C. And as I said it, I was like, why am I saying H? But I don't remember. He punched me at the end of the spelling bee, but then I got him back because we took a field trip to see the movie 1776. Remember that one? The Thomas Jefferson musical about the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Yeah. The movie 1776 was playing, and we took a field trip to see it. And my mom was one of the chaperones for the 5th grade class. And we were in line, and Robert Patrick said, "Your mom's old." And I took him down to one shot to the gut, and he lost his breath, went down. And then Mrs. Clow said, "Mr. Gorman, into the room." And she said she was preparing to give me a licking with a paddle because that's how they did it in Kentucky. And I said, "He insulted my mother." And Mrs. Clow said, "Well, then you should have hit him twice."
Nice.
That's a true story.
Good.
Oh, yeah. I was like, fair enough. Then later, he was an Eagle Scout and a valedictorian of Hopkinsville High School, and I haven't seen him since.
Probably in the gutter.
I would imagine so. But let me tell you something. Nobody smokes a crack pipe like him. He's perfect at that.
He's perfect. He's perfected.
I'm the best crack smoker in town. I swear to God. Here's a good one. Freely praise other people. It will make you feel better about yourself, too.
True.
That is true. Tony, you're awesome, man.
Your eyes are so pretty.
Golly, Candace, your voice it's like a soothing back rub when I hear you talk.
Thanks, Steve.
And Zepp, what's up, dude?
See, now I know when you guys say something nice, you're just doing it for your own selfish reasons.
Yeah.
You don't really mean it.
I'm just looking for feedback, man. No, Zepp, you're awesome, man. Anything you want to tell me?
Oh, you know what? You know what I would like to say to you?
Go Vikes.
And boom goes the dynamite.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, September 27th. A banner day almost in the books. In the meantime, I believe, though, we were talking yesterday about life's awkward moments. And, Candace, you said somebody called in a day late but not a dollar short and had a story they wanted to share with us?
Yes, it's Steve from Eden Prairie.
Good morning, Steve.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Gorman.
What's happening?
I tried to get in yesterday because the awkward moments, and of course, there's quite a few callers, all very good. But this one reminded me of when the Black Crowes were at the Aquatennial Block Party.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
Back in like 96 or 97. Were you still with the band then?
Oh, yeah, 96. Remember it well.
We're up front. My wife is quite the looker, I'll have to say. And I went off to go get us some libations, a couple more beverages. And when I come back, the backstage boys from your band were all over my wife. And I walked up and I said, what in the heck is going on here?
Right.
And she was getting backstage passes and all this. And I had said, does she look like she wants to go? And I turned to her, and she was giddy and left me standing there with the 2 beers as she went backstage with the band.
Oh, at least you got 2 beers.
Okay, first of all, this is the first time I've ever been informed that we had backstage boys.
I love that band.
Just, so...
Well, either the sound guys or the guys up on the stage with you helping out because, I'd left. And it took a while to get out to the street and get back. And by the time I got there, and like I said, my wife's quite a looker, and there were 2 guys trying to get her backstage to go party with the band. And I was like, she doesn't want to go with you guys. And I looked at my wife, and she was like, are you out of your mind? I'm out of here.
Wow.
I couldn't blame her. I could not blame her. And
well, I don't know. I don't know where it's going, and I'm not going to ask. But I can tell you this: if it's any consolation, there was. And I don't say this because of any reason other than it's true. That's not how the band rolled. I can't speak for the crew, but the Black Crowes band, and especially in 1996, we were not. There was no one backstage like, let's go find some ladies. It wasn't that vibe at all.
Yeah.
Way too many drugs to be done than to be chasing skirt. That's how that worked.
Well, I remember that was quite a party that you guys put on that day. It was a beautiful day, and you guys just rocked it out.
I appreciate that.
So I just wanted to relay that story to you. But, we've enjoyed the band ever since, and my wife certainly has a fondness that she got to go back and watch you guys for, like, the last few songs.
Well, bless her. If she has a photo, share it with us. I'd be curious to see what we were all wearing that day.
I think they blur those these days, don't they?
Yeah, they pretty much do. Thanks for the call, Steve. Appreciate it.
Guys. Thank you.
You don't ever leave your smoke show wife up in the front stage of a rock show to go get a couple of beers.
Come on, unless you're cool. He sounds like a cool husband. I want a cool husband.
Proud of that. My wife's a real looker.
Well, and apparently somebody claiming to be a member of the Black Crowes or crew, had a fun time. I guess I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah. It's rock and roll.
I guess so. Jeez.
I'm just saying, if I get that opportunity with Ozzy or something and my husband's a jerk about it, then I'm going to straight up divorce him. Straight up.
Well,
at least you're open about it.
Ozzy, no one would care. What's he going to do? This guy's not getting a boner in 20 years.
Hey, don't make fun of Ozzy's.
No, you're right. There's drugs for that.
There's drugs. There's drugs for everything.
There is.
There's drugs for a boner. There's drugs when you got to get rid of a boner. There's just all sorts of things. I've always blown my mind. By the way, when people a story like that, probably true. I don't. I have no recollection of anything like that. I do remember that day, different elements of the day. But the funniest part to me is when people come up and try to tell me a story that truly, literally involves me. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, I'm cursed with this ridiculous memory. And I've countless times somebody comes up and they're like, "Oh, hey man, you won't remember we met back in '92," and I'll go, "Oh, really? Where was that?" And I go, "Oh, it was at so and so and so and so," and then I immediately remember exactly what they're talking about, and I'll be like, "No, we didn't meet then. I remember that. I wasn't even there. I walked in, I said," and one guy, the greatest ever. We were playing at a gig in Atlanta, our hometown, Midtown Atlanta. In fact, I think it was the same year, '96. We were at a gig backstage. And this guy is backstage, and he's got a laminate for the festival, and this was a kid, and he had a girl with him that talk about. I mean, way out of his league. This was like a little dorky little metal guy, and he was standing there with like Brooke Shields, and everybody like noted not just her, but like this couple. Like, who is that? What, did you see that couple walking around backstage? And the guy came up to me at some point. He goes, "Hey, Steve, how's it been going, man?" And I go, "It's been going well." And right away, I'm like, "Oh, he's trying to act like we know each other. I've never seen the guy." And he goes, "You won't remember me, man. I was with you guys on the first tour, the first record." And I said, "With what guys?" He goes, "With the band." I go, "Oh, you worked with the band?" He goes, "Yeah, I was the guitar tech, but he's talking about 5 years earlier. Uh-huh. We have like 8 guys on the crew, not 80, like 8." And I'm like, "Oh, you were a guitar tech with the Black Crowes." He goes, "Yeah, you won't remember me." And the girl's standing there, she's all excited because this guy clearly has told her he was. And of course, I just said, "Dude, you never worked for the Black Crowes. I've never seen you before." And I looked at her and I go, "This guy is lying. I have no idea who you are."
Wingman. Hello.
Yeah, no. I said, "I have no idea who this guy is." And she literally looks at him. He goes, "Dude, we were all so wasted back then." And I don't know what it was about this particular thing. It pissed me off. And there was a security guard right there. I said, "Hey, come here." And I took that guy's laminate off. I said, "Throw this guy out of here. Get him."
Snap.
He was backstage under false pretenses.
Right. You got a vibe from him. Good for you.
It annoyed me. I was like, this guy's a complete douche.
You threw her out as well, I'm sure.
I did. I don't know what happened to her. I just said, I probably said, "Here, go give this laminate to someone who deserves it."
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's not exactly chivalrous, but the guy was pissing me off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you saved her.
I don't remember you from 5 years earlier.
God.
The hell. And then, of course, 3 of the other guys in the band would have totally been like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry, I don't remember you." I mean,
I'm sure he got away with it a lot.
He just picked the wrong guy to bring that one to.
Right.
These things happen. Let's look back as long as we're looking back. Sports history on this day in 1996 in Denver, Colorado. The San Francisco Giants played the Colorado Rockies, and Barry Bonds stole his 40th base. He stole second base in the game. That gave him, for only the second time in Major League history, a 40-40 season. 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases. And I was at that game, and it was cold and rainy. And I thought, well, I mean, it's a night off in Denver. Might as well go to a baseball game. And I watched a pre-steroid, pre-growth hormone, skinny as a rail, Barry Bonds get his 40th steal. And I, along with the other people in attendance, cheered and said, "Hey, way to go, Barry Bonds. You're probably going to be a Hall of Famer one day," having no idea that 5 years later he'd be 40 pounds heavier.
Right.
And jacking home runs like I swat flies. That same night, a bunch of guys in my band, the Black Crowes, we all went to a strip club. 2 things happened of note at that strip club. One, a girl came over, and when she found out that we were the Black Crowes, a dancing girl, I should say specifically, it was an interesting moment when a fully nude girl looked at us and said, "Oh, my mom loves y'all." We were like, "Okay, we're old. Our day is come and gone."
And you may not remember, but my mom was one of your guitar techs.
Exactly. In the 90s. We were wasted back then. The other crazy thing that happened that night after we left the strip club, long story short, there was a true old-fashioned street brawl. Two big dudes challenged me and my guitar player to a fight for no discernible reason. And what they didn't recognize was that we were 2 people in a party of 10. And one of those 10 people was our English tour manager, who's a giant 6'2" bulldog with wrists the size of my thighs. And he took that man's invitation to fight, literally, and crossed the street and punched a guy in the mouth in one punch and knocked him unconscious. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Whoa. And we were all standing there, and there was a quick moment of silence, and someone in the crowd went, it was truly like a guy. It was one punch, and a giant man fell like an oak tree. And we were all like, "Holy crap, don't mess with our tour manager."
Yeah.
Wild night in Denver, as those things happen on occasion.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.